Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be getting into a Bitcoin technical analysis. This is going to be a Discord exclusive update, so we're going to go through the charts together. This is going to be a fresh look for me as well this morning. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to start off on the one-day time frame, and in yesterday's kind of price action here, of course, we did test lower inside of the range. We did expect a test of at least the S1 here, which is our first area of interest. Now, why is that the first area of interest? Because we've got our lows from the 23rd of May right there. So there's a lot of liquidity to be taken there. We also had the monthly S1. If we go into the lower time frames, we also had the S3. We know that the weekly S3 or just the S3s and the R3s in general are quite hard to break on the initial hit, and most likely, and in most cases, I should say, we do see kind of buy pressure come in at the S3. You know, profit takers as well. This creates even more buy pressure. So there's going to be profit takers. There's going to be counter traders coming into the market. So I do like the look of that. We've gotten quite a nice bounce from it. And even more importantly here on the 15-minute time frame, if we put on our historical pivots as well, that was actually the S3, even on the daily pivots. Okay, so just when you see confluence across so many time frames, guys, that is a very nice sign that you can be looking for a little bit of a bounce at least. So obviously we did take these lows here, so you could have waited for that swing failure pattern to confirm, or just gotten in on support, right? And how would we know the swing failure pattern has confirmed? Literally on this candle, and we didn't actually ever go back for it either. So we got a very nice hammer reversal candle after taking out these lows, taking all that liquidity and then bouncing up. Now, of course, this bounce has started to come to the downside once again, so we need to actually be looking at the high time frames to be able to judge profit taking, right? Because if we go onto the one-day time frame here, we can see that as we spoke about yesterday, we have created a lower low. So we need to figure out where do we actually need to reclaim based on a high time frame right now inside of the range to be able to move further up, right? And this would be a nice area because these are some nice bases that we built right here before moving up, then came back to the daily support once again, then moved up, and now we've broken it. So what does that mean? That is ultimately the breakdown point for me, and it is quite close to a breakdown point. We had tried to bounce up once again from here, then ultimately broke it. So $34,598 is the region that we need to right now get back above. So would you take another trade down here at the S1? I know this is a question that will come up if and only if a swing failure pattern does confirm. Of course, coming right back down to it straight away is not exactly a sign of strength. But like I said yesterday, a lot of people were talking about this triangle. But what we said was we had a break of the triangle up here as well, although we didn't have volume confirmation. Therefore, it doesn't make it a tradable kind of situation, right? At least if you're trading it for the entire target, which is somewhere in the 20Ks, right? So ultimately still declining volume. That does suggest ranging price action. The one-day time frame, we've gone with this idea for the past kind of week, or since we broke into this range. We've kind of discussed it a few times here and there. That would suggest sometime in July we would break out, and you guys already know that that would be absolutely maximum pain for a lot of people in the market. A lot of people looking for continuation, a lot of people looking for a breakout to the upside. Now, of course, the bearish continuation is the one that is most likely because we're in a bear flag. We've actually broken the bear flag. We want to see volume when the low is broken to confirm it. However, you know, and trend is down, and market structure is the most important right now. But we are holding those high time frame supports, and more importantly, the bottom of the range. That's why we discussed in yesterday's video that while we're coming to the bottom of the range, and while we could break with volume here, that would be our confirmation. Until we've got that confirmation, we're looking to trade the range. And if we're looking to trade the range, what are we looking at firstly here? Of course, our pivots, because they are very, very important. And, you know, the bread and butter of my trading here. And we've come down to 3 of them across 3 different kind of time frames, for example. And that is a good sign that you're going to get a little bit of a bounce up. This is a very nice trade. If you were to actually catch the lows as well, almost a 9% bounce from there. Okay, now we've actually come back down, testing the lows once again. It would be hard for me to see that it is held. If we come and actually test lower here and bounce from this zone, that would also get a lot of people trapped. So this is definitely what I am watching as well. And I'm simply looking to trade these levels inside of the range. I would have actually liked a little bit of a move to this S1 here. However, we've already lost the S2, so acceptance back below. That's your scalp short positions, right? We've closed back below on the 1 hour candle here and already gotten continuation of about 2%. So for scalp positions, this range has been very, very profitable indeed. And let's take a quick look at the weekly, guys, because we're seeing more green on the VIX here on the weekly time frame, which obviously that means that's at least right now we're seeing increase in volatility to the downside. But as long as the support is held, this would actually be a bullish read. I'm not assuming that the support is held. There's actually a lot of, open interest actually below us as well, with the bigger players here. So potentially, this yearly pivot is still on the board. I'm still not basically discounting that at all since we have broken structure. And ultimately, I do think that we could get to that $25,000 level, which is, a high time frame level we've discussed as well, and then that $20,000 region. So actually, I think I was going to take a look at this with you guys yesterday, but I wasn't able to upload my video as I showed you guys. I think it was actually in that one. So yeah, I was looking at the BLX chart with you guys here yesterday. And so this was our pitchfork. So if you remember, we've actually been trading this for a very long time. This was our macro pitchfork. We topped out here at $14,000. We came back down all the way to, $4,000 and ultimately did end up breaking up. Coming up here, retested the 618, moved back up here and retested, the extensions of the pitchfork. Now we're back on those extensions, bouncing quite perfectly on that, on this green extension, as you can see here in confluence with the R1. And now what can we see? If we were to break the R1 based on our macro pitchfork, which goes to the all-time lows of Bitcoin, to the last market cycle high and to the last market cycle low, that would suggest that we have the outer of the pitchfork and pretty big support in my personal opinion at 25,255. So that is the first level that I'm going to be watching. And then if we were to break inside there, well, we've got the 618 off the pitchfork and the $20,730 level, which is the yearly pivot. This is getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but we want to be prepared if the R1 is to break. Now, if we are to break the top of our old range in January here at around 41,000, where we actually ended up closing long positions or most of our long positions, that would be a quick move up to the R3 and a further move up from there. So obviously the probabilities are more to the bear side since we've broken structure, but we can always, regain that structure, and we need to be having a plan for both sides if we are to regain that structure. Now, on the weekly time frame here on the BLX chart, since we have more history to work with, you can actually go ahead and either draw a regression all the way back to basically 2011, or you can actually go ahead and pull from here, which would be back in 2014. Okay, so we can actually put both of them on our charts here and see where they've actually stopped us in the past. Okay, so you can see they're kind of in confluence with each other down here. Now, these are some huge lows in the market, guys. So if we go back to here, we can see that right here, that was basically at $200 low. Let's put this onto log scale so we can see it easier. So we did come back down here a little bit. So this is when Bitcoin would have had a very, very low market cap. Let's see. So about a bounce up to here, really that $20,000 high before we tested it here. Remember, this is a weekly stochastic support. That's a 12,000% move right there. Then we actually see similar here on the $3,000 low, going all the way up to $14,000, bouncing on this support multiple times on the way to the downside. So this one's important, guys, because when we're in a downtrend, it doesn't mean that we have to reverse right now quickly and just start to move back to the upside. There will be reaccumulations, there will be consolidations, and even in a bearish trend or a bullish trend. So you want to really be able to identify that. Now, as we were actually coming down from $20,000, this was actually showing us multiple bounces along the way, from $5,000 all the way up to $8,000. They are some big moves, guys, especially back in the day for Bitcoin. I know we've moved up quite a bit now, but still, there's some big percentage moves. And then also down here at $3,000 coming all the way up to $14,000. So on the way down, there was actually a little bit of a reaccumulation going on here, and just buy-ups from this weekly stochastic being so beat down. So could we have a very similar read to here? It's always possible to have a similar read. So don't always just expect, Stokes to bounce up or anything to just give you an immediate kind of reaction, especially on the high time frames, and the weekly is a high time frame for Bitcoin. So that's kind of my thoughts on the weekly. Definitely going to be watching those. My levels are still the same because we're still in the same range. There's really not much change for that. I'm going to be trading the lower time frames if I see opportunities on the lower time frame levels, and even on some of our high time frame levels. If we see these confluences across many time frames, it goes for a very nice trade as well. So if you were awake for this and ready for it, since we already spoke about it, took note of it, that would be very nice. Now, let's take a quick look at Ethereum as well before we wrap this up. Keep going on the Bitstamp chart. So Ethereum USD did have actually a rejection from that anchored VWAP, now coming lower inside the range. I think that we said that if Ethereum, actually Ethereum has held up nicely. Another high low, but we said that Ethereum needs to get back above here or else it's going to test lower inside of the range. So yes, it has tested a little bit lower inside of the range, but to be fair, it hasn't tested to where I wanted it to, which the first area was a 30th of May lows, to look for a little bit of a swing failure pattern opportunity, a little bit of a long scalp inside of the range. You can of course be shorting since we've lost the temporary support. We actually lost it on this candle. You can see multiple days here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We closed above, and once we got a closure below, that was a retest. So you can see on this candle, we actually retested and a move down of about 11%. So didn't quite get that, but that was a nice short position. I look for a long there and a long, especially here back in this order block, back in this bullish order block. So finally, a short video here. We won't go through too much more since obviously we've spoken about all of the main factors here. Very quickly, let's see where this anchored VWAP from the lows is. And we've actually broken that as well. So that would say we need to get above here, but I'd still be going off the horizontal. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in classroom section or the discussion section in the group, and I'll definitely be able to get around to them. Have a lovely rest of your day, guys, and I'll catch you inside the group.